Arey yaar, I knew you would say that. Okay, let's do.
This is because of me.
No, 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 no. All right, let me know when to start. Chal, let's do it. Are we good? Thank you. Well, move towards energy transition, sustainable practices is something that we can all talk about. But you know what? To do that, we need a lot of manpower. We need green jobs. And this is something that we are going to discuss on the podcast today. What is the need of the hour? Do people need to upskill themselves? How many jobs in the green industry are available? And how much demand is there globally and in India as well? Do you need to study more? These jobs, will they be paying more than what they are paying right now in terms of normal jobs? So, a lot of discussion and a lot of questions that we've been getting in and you've been writing in as well. So, thank you for that. And to discuss just that, whether green job is the next step for you and what is needed to actually be skilled for that particular job, we have a very special guest joining us on this podcast today, Mr. Himal Tewari. He is the Chief Human Resources Officer at Tata Power and also the Chief of CSR and
Yes, you're right.
Sustainability. So many hats. How do you manage that first up?
Yeah, no, I think, thanks for the company that's given me the opportunity. And in a lot of ways, sustainability and CSR are almost that one imagines comes from the heart. It's the right thing to do. So it's not really a job, and I'm very happy that the company has given me the responsibility.
And we are very happy to host you on the
Thank you.
podcast today. And, while a lot is happening in the jobs market, which we talk about generally, this is very specific. We're talking about green jobs. Just to start with the basics first up, is there a number, the number of green jobs which are available, or the skill set that is needed right now globally and specifically in India, where there is a void right now when it comes to green skilling?
Okay, no, so look, while there are many definitions, and as it happens with any evolving sector, you know, the large pieces are in the transition that is happening. If you see all aspects of skilling in jobs related to the climate transition that is happening, EV transition that is happening, also one can extrapolate that into the other ecosystems that we talk about is the green construction, sustainable agriculture, and also waste management. I think this kind of uh, cluster around the big ticket uh, pockets of green jobs. Now there are many estimates of how this is panning out, but clearly uh, the focus on what we are talking global discussion on climate change, net zero, and every government is taking ambitious targets. In a lot of ways, look, estimates are saying that look, even when we are taking the 2047 out numbers, we're talking about something to the tune of about 380 million jobs globally. Yeah, and one can say safely that over a tenth of that will come to India, because I think that is what is the transition happening in our country. So now leave that the numbers and estimate. The needless to say, it is going to be multiple X times what we are seeing today, and a huge opportunity as we transition into a new ecosystem, a sustainability ecosystem, and then what do we require from a jobs and a skilling point of view.
Okay, 380 million globally, maybe the tenth of one tenth of it would come to India itself. That's a big number for sure. But in that case, what would be needed is skilling, right? That's the most important thing. Do we have that skill set available? Or do you think it's time to look at more collaborations, corporate interventions, or policy as well to improve that skill set?
I think it's a very big uh, aspect of this transition. Absolutely true. Skilling is the heart of it. The transition will happen at the skilling level. Now, one has to see this at a systemic level. It is as much as I say this on three vectors, right? One is that existing transition into new. So absolutely we cannot say that everything is new. So an existing aspects will transition into new, then they are completely new skills. We did not have those skills, And the third is that using technology will create new aspects of jobs. So if you see, all three will able coexist and build up. Now, in a lot of ways, I call it the horizontal and vertical aspects of, as you see, sustainability as it is. So, one, it would be a complete horizontal piece, which is all functions will get impacted with sustainability. Now, you will have to say that a finance professional, without knowledge of carbon pricing or circularity calculations, I don't think so that function will be able to exist going ahead. Uh, you know, IT, for example. Now, tomorrow when you are working, what is the impact of IT reporting, measurement, and on GHG emissions, for example. Now, all these are uh, uh, horizontals that are playing up. Now, then there would be verticals. You'll have speciality, skills, competencies in a functions like finance, reporting, compliance, and the rest of it. So if you ask me, all functions will evolve, but then there will be deep domain specialists as well. So both will coexist. And in a lot of ways, look, there is a lot of government support already there, so from a policy framework point of view, but also the ecosystem has to start supporting that. Education institutions, curriculums, the way corporates work in their own learning and development programs. So all the rest of it has to come together.
Okay. So, I will, of course, we'll take a deep dive into that horizontal and vertical part of it as well, because there's so much happening. Sustainability is not just one sum game. We are seeing many segments of sustainability and the action there evolving as well. But is there some you're seeing some hesitancy coming in from employees to learn these new skill sets or move towards green transition, or do you think everyone's very happy to upgrade upskill themselves? Is there something that you've seen?
I wouldn't say there is a resistance. Look, I think this is, as much as anything, is a normal evolution.
Yeah.
One can argue that how everybody is looking at AI, for example. So definitely there is a bit of anxiety, especially in sectors that have fundamental transitions happening. And then there is the responsibility of everybody, corporates, civil society, governments, that how do we do that transition? And again, that is framed in the Paris Agreement under just transition. That how are you transitioning in that, and giving dignity of that transition, right?
Correct.
And
Right.
that's very important. And in a lot of ways, that is a work that still requires a lot of work. And this is a systemic effort. No one corporate can do, not one education institution or a training institution can do, and of course the government can't do it alone. uh, so at a systemic level, we require change. But if you ask me, we are already seeing a lot of green shoots, right?
Okay.
uh, we're seeing how beautifully companies are transitioning, how employees are transitioning into newer areas. So let me give you some examples of this. Is, for example, let's say some functions like construction, like project management, like engineering. Now they are fast evolving into these aspects already, right? Finance, compliance, investor relations, already, right? Now we are seeing other functions coming through, right? So it's a lot of work to be done. I wouldn't say there is a resistance, but I think there is a huge aspect of enablement, structure, and of course, how do we come together to deliver this?
Makes sense. And also, there's always initially when you try something new, there are some teething issues, but then you solve it over
Yeah.
time, right? So at Tata Power, you have gotten into this as well, the skilling program. There's something that was announced in the budget as well. Can you tell us more about it? How does it align with what the government is also planning to do?
Look, for Tata Power, it's the heart and center of what we're doing, right? And as we see, the energy transition is happening, and we are the largest integrated power company in this country. And in a lot of ways, it is not as a business model, but it is almost a responsibility to do the right thing of transition that is happening around us. So we have, of course, as Tata Power, as we work with our own employees and ecosystem, but we also have we have an institution called Tata Power Skill Development Institute, which has been in existence since 2015.
Okay.
And we have, over a period of time, we have trained over 3 lakh uh, employees, also from our communities, from our contract workmen, and building skills for the industry. Now we are pivoting hugely and focusing on green skilling and jobs.
Okay.
We could be the largest green skilling institute in this country already. So we
Okay.
have 6, core institutes, centers, and 5, what we call as the hubs, the spokes and the hubs. So 11 centers in all. We're growing very fast, and all aspects of green energy and skilling, which is solar, wind, and now green hydrogen. We have a
Okay.
green hydrogen lab that we are working with uh, SCGJ, which is Skill Council of Green Jobs,
Okay.
and we the first green hydrogen lab uh, training facilities is with TPSTI, and we are just, I think, as we talk this month, we will have the first course coming through.
Oh, amazing.
So we are focusing immensely on this on a skilling level, and it is going beyond even our own employee ecosystem. It is working with communities, going down in terms of wherever we are having our solar plants, and then we run programs like BWalk in our renewable technology, so getting kids from the ecosystem, and they will earn as they learn. So 3 years they will be on our plants for 5 days. 2 days they will learn. This is a program we do it with, along with TESS. And after 3 years, they get this BWalk degree in renewable O&M technology, and they of course have the choice to go and work with others as well. Of course, they have a chance, they can work with us, but it's like building talent for the industry.
Okay.
So in a lot of ways, that's the heart of what we do. In also what we're doing, and something that we have been doing for the last 3 to 4 years, is we are a big company, right? We have multiple clusters, and some clusters are growing very fast, some are not so more stable, and creating efficiencies through operations. So we are transitioning that talent, which into the classical, more traditional sectors, into the high growth sectors.
Correct.
And then we call it the Daksha program, and we say that, look, can we take those horizontal base skills, as we call, you know
And work on them.
and work on them to make them look into the new sectors. And we've got phenomenal success around that. So some of our new leaders, middle management in our growth businesses, have come from our traditional sectors, and
Yeah.
we've worked on this to make them successful into their new roles.
And why not? If you
Of
have the
course,
talent already, you just need to upskill them, right? And is this only for your employees, or outsiders can also join some of these skilling programs here?
we do this through Tata Power Skill Development Institute, TPSTI. So we
Okay.
work with our communities. So, for example, today we have trained over 25,000 people in green skilling,
Okay.
right? And this is solar PV installation. There are electrician installation roles. Of course, I talked about green hydrogen. Now, incidentally, as we talk, the Prime Minister Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana
Correct.
is an extremely ambitious and, of course, an audacious, phenomenal scheme from the government. And then we now need to also build up, and this MNRE has given us the indication that we may require about 1 lakh, technicians, solar technicians, and we are working with them, the government, to say that, look, how can we, enable that ecosystem? Because when you install this PV panels and rooftop solar, we will require that kind of
Correct.
skills. So we are working with the government, and uh, I think it's a big plan that they have, and we are equipped to deliver that.
There is a lot of opportunity available, right?
Absolutely.
So the next question that comes in, of course, people will ask that because we've been talking about salary growth not being so great in corporate India in last couple of years. Do green jobs come in at a better pay scale than the normal or the traditional jobs?
Look, it is two things. One is that it's a recent phenomenon. So we have, if you see, the growth of this sector has been uh, quite let me say, dramatic over the last 3 to 4 years. So it's an industry that has grown very fast too soon. So clear trend lines are still not available, to be fair. Uh, but there is a demand and supply issue. So while we have this data for global markets, which say that it is typically a 15-20% premium on sectoral transition into renewables. Here we are yet to see that trend. However, clearly, as we see from a growth point of view, a lot of new opportunities are coming. So even in the green skilling ecosystem where we're talking about, and again, at the moment, the renewable transition that is happening and the EV transition that is happening, these two, and of course, related is the battery ecosystem.
Correct.
These are growing into multiple X, if you ask me. And I think the jury is out whether will everybody will go 3X or 4X, but this is X, right?
Right.
Now, then will require skills, right? So there's a lot of demand, and I could intuitively say that because there's a lot of unstructured sector expansion, at least about 20 to 15% more.
Okay, 12 to 15% more from the current levels
Yes,
that we are
yes,
seeing.
yes.
So you mentioned we are seeing a lot of demand in battery business, be it the EV business or the renewables. Um, just taking that point forward, the top five most demanded green jobs right now, what would you name them as?
Okay, so I would not in that particular order. Let me just rattle it out as is it coming to me. Is one is of course your this entire aspect of the installation, the PV installation. I think it's such a sheer number that we require. There's a huge need. Uh, we also require expertise in project management. Look, this country is constructing at a phenomenal pace. So project management is the second piece, right? The third is on wind. Look, wind had we had a little bit of a, uh, I would say, stability in that growth. So while solar grew, wind did not grow so much, but now wind is growing.
Correct.
So wind turbine installation, maintenance, engineering, that would be another third skill. The fourth, I would say, is all the innovation and tech related sustainability issues. We are all talking about aspects of which will come is or on carbon capture technologies. So which is that kind of tech and innovation led. I would say it's still evolving. How do we manifest as roles? But largely that space is going to grow phenomenally. The last, if you ask me, is all the sustainability, compliance, financial disclosures, investing.
Yeah.
That is the clean area that I think we need a lot of jobs will come in through there.
I can see a lot of compliance already being set in, be it for the top 1,000 listed companies,
Absolutely.
BRSR,
Absolutely.
BRSR
BRSR.
norms as well. So, yes, a lot is happening, but we need people to
Yeah.
quickly jump to the
Yeah.
other side as
Yeah.
well. I totally get it. You spoke about a very interesting point, and that's the dignity of the labor that happens in any form of employment. So I was reading a report and it suggested that a lot of these jobs, which are very important from a sustainability perspective, be it waste recycling, what happens at the ground level, but doesn't get the kind of dignity that it requires, or maybe the amount kind of money that it requires. Is that a problem? Are you seeing when there are certain segments which do not get as much attraction versus, say, an energy transition or carbon capture or electric vehicles?
It's a very good question in a sense that in a lot of ways the downstream implementation happens at the last mile, right? And even if you see from an ESG lens, a lot of that is last mile society. And when we talk about it, how are we delivering that in the last mile? Now, you talked about one aspect of dignity, which is dignity is that look, waste is handled by the last mile, you know. And by the way, we're doing programs, especially we're very proud of the work that we're doing with in Tamil Nadu, state of Tamil Nadu, and working with sanitary workers. And a big part of them is, of course, the way that safety and the way that the work related, how are they using technology tools, and how are we having the structural elements of their job, but working at a fundamental level of dignity, right?
Correct.
Is that how are we positioning them to be doing a very important role in the society,
Correct.
right? A way of working with their self-esteem, self-identity, and working at a very basic level. So absolutely, to your point, that is there. We're also talking about, when we talk about from an ESG lens, also talk about inclusion and diversity.
Correct.
How are we empowering women, right? Working with the SHG groups, and how are we enabling, you know in their own way, financial independence, by working in self-help groups. How are we
Correct.
empowering them? Now, that is the last mile, really, because if and of course there are many data that is saying that, look, if you empower the women in a delta 6,000 rupee per month, gives a phenomenal structural support to the society at large. You know, you, she will send her kids to the school. Support dropout rates of those kids are down. Their health is much better, and that's a multiplier effect of what we call as the ground level transformation.
Hmm. It just starts at the bottom and it just
Absolutely.
spirals at the to the top, and that is exactly what we plan to do here. So, you spoke about the 2047 target. We have a 2030 target, then we have a 2050 target. So, India has also set targets in order to reach that carbon neutrality levels. How soon do certain things need to be sorted in terms of green employment for us to reach those targets? You said there's a big demand in, say, PV installations, there's a big demand when it comes to renewables. Do you think we need to sort certain things in the near future itself? Are there some challenges that the industry is facing with green jobs?
I look. I'm I'm personally taking it very positively. Look, this is a good problem to solve, right? In a
Hope is
in
a
a in
great
a
thing.
in a country where we have the demographic dividend, we have extremely progressive government from a policy point of view. The growth is happening, and in a lot of ways, global South, we are leading the dialogue on sustainability. All of that is stacked up in our favor. Now, we have to get our act together, right? And it has to come together in various shapes and form. Now, if you see even the latest the internship scheme of the government, right? It is nothing but it is top 500 corporates will come together and give them the opportunity. Now that, in my view, will come into a lot of the, while industry is transitioning, all of those internships that we
Will
will
have.
we will provide them into newer areas, and this will be a trickle down effect. So if you ask me, I would say that we will definitely get there. There is no question about it. I think we as a country will get it there. Sometimes we take a little time, but we will get there. uh, Transition is happening at the ground, right? If you see the ITIs of this country, the college curriculums in the country, they are changing, right? There are certain ITIs,
Yeah.
and some state governments are a little ahead than others, but I'm sensing that all governments, skilling is in the top five priority for all state governments.
Okay.
And needless to say, they are working with corporates, they are enabling their ecosystem, and today the physical infrastructure is also getting improved. So you go to some of the ITIs in some states, they are as good as anywhere else. So my sense is we will get there. We will get there. We do have the uh, I think the intention to do it,
Yeah.
right? But I think we will get there, and we will achieve our 2030 goals.
Okay, that is very good to know. Because a lot of people, sometimes we have this conversation, they're like, we want to switch to these new energy or, sustainability space, but we don't know how to do it and whether we have any institution available to help us that. So you spoke about what Tata Power is doing. Are there any other institutions, maybe students or somebody who's already in a job can look at? Is it widespread, or as you said, we are still working on it?
No, I think there is all. If you see, we have a lot of academic institutions have come forward. You find that sustainability related courses are increasing. While IITs and TERI and all of them have been in the space for many years, I see a lot of other institutions also coming. So Very interestingly, I was actually in Jamshedpur earlier last week, and I was catching up with my Tata Steel colleagues. They are partnering with XLRI on an MBA program with emphasis on the social capital and working, and all the CSR professionals are lensing all the work that they're doing. So this is all taking business with a social lens. Now, these are all progressive things that are happening around us. So that it's available. Also, like there are short-term courses, there are technical courses on sustainability. By the way, a lot of corporates are also working. For example, mm, I'll take our company's example. We do curated courses on sustainability. We do
Okay.
internal certifications on sustainability. We run sustainability kind of hackathons. We do the things that look, why, how does sustainability, you progress, and uh, we sometimes run those internal campaigns of 7 successful habits of sustainable people.
Oh, wow.
Right. So these are courses that we run. The other thing that we do, and I think I need to also mention, is it is important that we frame it at an individual level as well, because sustainability is one, of course, is my corporate goal, my corporate objective. My sector is going through a transition, but how does that mean to you as an individual? That's very important. So in Tata Power, we run a program, or it's an initiative, or it's a movement actually. Really, it's called Climate Crew, and it is how does sustainability impact you, affect you. You can impact at a individual level. So 6,000 plus employees have signed up. It's a AI based tech platform we have. They come together, they share best practices, they run some hacks on daily usage of water, waste, use of public transport, how I'm impacting uh, as the individual, and of course in my ecosystem society. It's not only framed in the corporate structure. So that, I think, we think that Climate Crew is a movement that we will create, and we will take it outside, perhaps to our ecosystem and then to the society at large.
That's very interesting. And as a journalist who's covering this theme, I would be very interested if there are journalistic specific courses. But of course, I keep looking for that as well. I have to ask you, because we are in an era where things are evolving so quickly. Are Gen Zs more interested in such jobs, or are you seeing equal interest coming in from millennials and boomers as well?
I would frame it that certainly the our set of new employees, as in they are Gen Z or whatever you call them. If I represent the young employees, who are entering in the segment of our sub 25, certainly believe they are much more aware, sensitive, and have a sense of purpose. Incidentally, our EVP as Tata Power is purpose.full. So
Oh,
we we have, not only as a company, but our proposition to engagement with employees is framed on purpose. Uh, so by the way, we have one of the highest representation of volunteers in the company. They are just wanting to do the right thing, and we give them expressions to do it, be it you know plantations, underprivileged children education, elderly home. We talk about various initiatives on plastics, water, and things like that. So it's a culture that the company has, and a lot of young people are wanting to come and contribute.
Gen Z takes the
Oh,
trophy here.
amazing, amazing! I think they are very aware, and they their uh, reflection on things like sustainability, climate change, pollution, air, uh, diversity, inclusion. I think they are much aware and are interested to contribute.
That's very interesting. And I think that is something that we all know about as well. They're very vocal now. But since I have you here, and I think human resource is one of the most important functions in an organization. Of course, you can talk about skill set, but managing humans is one of the most difficult things a human can do. How is it working with Gen Zs versus millennials versus boomers? How would you categorize that?
Hmm.
I know I'm getting away from the talk, but since I have you, I have to ask
Okay,
you.
all right. Anyway, you've put me on a spot here a little bit,
It's totally on you to
but
answer,
I thought it was
absolutely.
a green skilling related topic. But I so look, let me step back a bit since you asked me. So I have to. In our company, one of the key tenets for diversity, DNI, is intergenerational diversity. And why I say this is, look, we are a 108-year-old company, and in a lot of ways, uh, we have multiple generations within our company,
Correct.
and you have, and because we have high tenure deployment, we incidentally have a fifth generation Tata Power employee within our company. Fifth
Fifth
generation.
generation.
Not a, I can't. I don't have any other example in the world like this.
Wow.
I don't have it. Maybe you can have it in military or government services. In private sector, I don't think so. There is an example like that. So we have a fifth generation Tata Power employee working with us, and what it does is that look, high tenured employment. Touchwood, we have very low attrition rates, and then we have all generations coming together and working. So in a lot of ways, we work and celebrate those differences, right? And every so-called this generational cohort brings about their own
Quirks.
quirks,
Values,
values,
of course.
and of course, that differences have to be celebrated. Clearly, the new generation has an amazing ability to pick up innovation and technology.
Correct.
Their ability to also, in a way, work horizontally is much better. Is my personal view. Also, in a lot of ways, um, it's a generation that is focused. I find their ability to focus counterintuitively, by the way. You talk about social media and distraction and the rest of it, but I think there is a lot of focus, right? Now, what we need to balance as a company is how can we celebrate this difference?
Yep. Yeah.
How can this energy,
Be
tech,
you.
enthusiasm, doing the right thing society be married with perspective,
Correct.
right?
Right.
Be married with some experience. And again, in a sector, some things are we play with or we work with power, and power is
Hmm.
safety,
Safety. Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Then society, how are you responsible to society? Because at the end of the day, we work as a utility company and deliver last mile to society. How can we generate those differences? How can we also appreciate the two differences and cross mentoring, right? How can we, one generation can learn from another
Yeah.
generation, right? So that's what it is. It's a phenomenal topic that you asked, but I thought it was out of the script.
It was. So that's why I just gave you that heads up
Yeah.
before I could ask that question. Totally on you to answer that. But since I have you, you have like years of experience, and I find human resource as a job one of the most rewarding, most difficult, and yet most important in an organization. So I had to ask you that. But thank you so much for joining us today. Such a pleasure to have you with us on the podcast. And this is a very, very important topic. You can talk about all the transition, but you need people to do that.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
our population is the boon here. We can
Yeah.
definitely work on it. So
Yeah.
thank you for your inputs
Thank you
today.
for inviting me. It was such a pleasure. And I think how the time went, we didn't
Even
realize.
I didn't figure
A
that
phenomenal
out.
conversation. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining in the podcast today. And keep writing to us as you always do on the topics that you want to know about. And we'll get all the expert insights on the show as well. Thank you for joining in today.